Welcome back to the Social Distance Podcast. It's the first episode of 2023, and I tell you what, we got off to a couple of false starts, but we managed to get something together. We previewed the Tour Down Under, we catch up with each other. It's our first show, as we said. Talk about Tour Down Under, the new course. We talk about we take you deep inside the buffet at the Hilton Hotel, give you some insight into that. We talk about a couple of merch giveaways, and we look forward to seeing you all on the road here in Adelaide over the next couple of days. Like, share, subscribe.
Let's just run the intro and wing it like we always do and see what comes out of it.
Let's get ready to rumble! Front kick.
Just getting bored and basketball chat.
My radar's going pretty hard at the moment. I think we should.
Will you shut up, man?
That escalated quickly.
We're going to need to get some more qualified guests on the show, eh?
Right, let's just take three, boys. It's been a fucking woeful start. Let's just take three of the Social Distance Podcast 2023, first edition, Tour Down Under edition. Here we are. We're excited to be back.
Yeah, but...
I don't know if I'm excited to be back, eh? I'm not excited to be back anymore. I was about an hour ago, and now...
Oh, mate. I've really run out of fucking petrol tickets here.
I'd rather put my dick in that window and slam it than do another run of this.
I started thinking to myself, when does this contract end with the DM network? I fucking hope they don't re-sign us so we can just quit this shit.
Fuck me.
It's bad enough the content was shit. Then we had to deal with like Wi-Fi issues. There's just nothing going right. But now George is gone again. Fucking hell. You back?
I'm here. I was just quitting off this annoying little pop-up.
Oh, yeah.
What?
How are you, Bills? Tour Down Under? Feels like I've asked you this 10 times before. I'm fucking over it.
Look, it's good to be back. I got the 2023 Tour Down Under race medal in my hand. It's the first time in my career that I've had to look at it through a different lens. Like, I've had to read the rules and regulations. I've had to read, like, about radio frequencies. I've had to read. It's a whole new world, but I am.
Are you planning on plugging in your riders for the race? Are you? Unlike the criterium.
Yeah, we didn't use radios in the criterium except for Taj Jones. I needed to. I hadn't, because I've never used a radio before. Obviously, and from the car, and there weren't follow cars in the crit, but we're on the side of the road, and Taj had a radio and I had a radio, just so I could practice. Like, it was essentially a practice for me. It was good for Taj to get some information because he was having a crack yesterday. But I had to I needed to do some practice. We did it in recon as well the other day. We did a recon day, and I talked to the guys from the car and the radio, and it was probably the worst recon of their lives because I'm like talking them down into every corner. Like, okay, we're 1K from the left-hander. But
hang on, you talk. I don't mean to put shit on you, mate. In fact, I do. You talk like it's a complicated process. You plug it into your ear, you get the channels synced up together, you talk into it, and that's it. What else is there to practice?
No, well, if you want to start at the start, like, it was a simple process in the end. But honestly, there was a moment this morning where I woke up and I thought, I don't even know how do you get the race car radio to link up with the rider's radio. So, yeah, I understand it's just a channel. You go into the same channel and it works. But behind that channel is a frequency. And the frequencies, you can't just pluck a frequency out of the air. Otherwise, you might have fucking Adelaide Transport talking to you saying, yeah, train's arriving. So you got to, get the right frequency and do all that stuff, set all that up.
But can't you just tap into someone else's frequency? Because I remember when I was racing French amateurs, there was this whole scandal that everyone thought that in my club thought that Le Pont Marseille were hacking everyone's radios and they were listening to what was going to happen because someone would go to do something and they would already know it was just too many things worked out. It was just all a bit suspicious and this whole controversy where there was radio hacking. So if you pick
it does
the wrong
happen.
frequency,
but I think it's a
back in the day it did.
Yeah, but it's you probably can do it, but it's illegal because
it's illegal.
So was a lot of things that have happened in cycling in its dark history. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but because the frequencies, the teams purchase them. They buy the frequency so that no one else in the world can use that frequency. So it's a purchase frequency that then should, in theory, become locked to the person who leases that frequency off. I don't know, the radio towers or I don't know, fucking Telstra or I don't know, whoever.
So do you have to buy a frequency when you come to Australia that's different to Europe?
You're supposed to think you lease one for a period of time, yeah.
Well, shouldn't you know that? Have you leased a frequency, or the boys got radio silence?
Yeah, it's the
You
same
only
as
afford
you
one.
use. No, to
Well, they spend all this money, and then eventually they just go, fuck it, we'll just give it to one rider.
that's what I mean. That's why that's why I'm saying it's a little bit more of a complicated process than it seems.
But you
Just put
still
on
don't
channel.
know the answer. You still don't
No,
know.
I've got it sorted.
No, you don't. Because where did you go buy the frequency?
Well, the team did it or something. I don't know. Someone did it.
Or something. Or some shit.
Someone
You know what I mean?
else has organised the frequency. Bewley's tapped into it, and it sounds like he's got his shit sorted. But you would have thought he would have practiced with all riders at the crit.
Yeah.
Instead, he just did it with one.
They obviously don't respect you as an authoritative figure because they're
walking over him already.
Here's your radios, and 6 out of 7 of them have looked at you and gone, "I'm not fucking wearing a radio." And you've gone,
because you don't use them.
well.
You don't use them in the crit. It's an exhibition race. It's not a race.
Yes, you do this year because Bewley needs to practice. Different year, boys. I'm running the show now.
Yeah,
No
Bewley
fucking
does.
around. All the radios are in. You don't want it. You're on my fucking bad side, straight off the gun. And I'll give you 2 strikes, and if you fuck me off by the end of Down Under, you're on the next flight home. I'm not, and it goes for you too, Froomy. I don't give a shit how many tours you won. I'm fucking calling the shots. And you go, George. It's like prison. Smack someone out in the first 2 hours. Get the respect, or you're gonna be walked all over.
Who's the ringleader in your rider group? For sure, it's Daryl Impey. You just need to go and just humiliate Daryl in front of
Smack him
everybody.
out in front of
Just
everyone.
humiliate him. Give him something. Give him something like make him ride the front stage 1. Daryl, you're pulling.
You guys are painting me out to be this terrible director, and I may well be. I've never done it before, but don't judge me before the race has started.
We're trying to help. We're just here to help.
Forget about the crit. Forget about that situation.
The
What
other
I'm
thing is
trying
in the
to get
crit,
to-
you weren't wearing shoes.
No, yeah, that's a good point. That's something I can solve quite easily, and there's only one person responsible for that.
Oh,
There's
no.
one director on the side of the road not wearing shoes. He's trying to create, like, he's one of those guys trying to create a personality about being like the barefoot guy. You know,
Barefoot
like,
director.
he's got an Instagram handle.
Instead of the barefoot investor, the barefoot director. I love it.
Yeah. I did spend a lot of time with Matt White as a sports director, and he used to run a lot of barefoot situations. So remember at the Tour de France that year in I think it was 2015, when there was this that massive pile up, and they were racing in Belgium,
Fuck.
when 80 guys went down and people got fucking broke some serious bones. So that when that crash happened, I remember it. I wasn't at the tour this year, and I don't even really remember it, but someone else told me about it, and so I'll recount the story in their words. There was a big crash, and then we had 5 guys go down, right? So then the mechanic jumps out with the bike, and he's servicing Daryl or whatever. But then they know that Albacini, he's at the front of the crash, so 150 meters away. He's also down and needs a bike. So Whitey just goes, "Fuck it, I'm running. I'm taking the bike with him." But Whitey didn't have any shoes on, so he's running down the road with taking Albacini's bike with bare feet. So obviously Whitey's a pretty well-esteemed, well-respected sports director. So I thought, why not start off like him? That's why I did it.
Huh.
Also, it was fucking hot, and I didn't want to have shoes on. And it was it was casual. We were just sitting there under the pits. It was cruisy, relaxing.
Did you have jandals or just full nude foot?
Barefoot director. Matt Barefoot
right.
director.
Hashtag barefoot director. Barefoot, yeah.
That crash you're talking about 2015. That was the first proper viral video we did at Green Edge. Over 3 million views for the mechanics cam.
Yeah, right. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
We're at the Tour Down Under. It's going to be a good race this year. I'm excited to be here. He's always fired up for TDU. Aren't you?
George?
Me? Oh, yeah. Fuck.
It's a good course for you.
Well, is it?
I don't know. We'll find out. It's the first time we've done the course.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Everybody, half the people basically look at me and go, "What are you doing here? Nothing for you here, mate. Piss off. Get out of here." The other half go, "Shit, you must be pretty excited about the course this year. Finally something for you." So, who knows? I'll tell you in 7 days. But
Well,
yeah. What do you think? You've looked at it. I haven't seen it yet. We're going to go look at the last stage. So basically, the major changes, there's a prologue, which is not great for me, but Willunga Hill's gone, which I never had a good run on Willunga anyway. But now there's this harder in general in terms of, cumulative climbing on this last stage, but it's not one standout difficulty that's as hard as Willunga, if you know what I mean. There's not one moment there's not 2.5K of road that's as hard as Willunga, but cumulatively it's a harder stage.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a harder stage. I don't know as well, man. Like, I don't think anyone really knows. Like, it's going to be like, it's probably going to run a sort of similar template in a lot of ways. Obviously, the prologue will make a big difference because Down Under's been won in the past by time bonus sprints. People like Daryl when Richie won in 2020, the last edition we had before COVID. He won on Willunga, but Daryl was leading in the Willunga stage and had like a 1 second lead on Richie or something. It's so close. We all know that, but the prologue's going to change it. Like, there could be a spread of 30 seconds between the guys that are going to finish top 10 on GC already on day one. And then, like you say, stage 5 up Mount Lofty, the climb is not as hard as Willunga.
But maybe it makes people just start going apeshit early because they've got 30 seconds to make up.
Yeah. And maybe like exactly, the stage is harder. So it's going to be like a lot of Down Unders in some ways, where the template is going to be like, is it going to be one of those punchy riders, like the Daryl kind of riders, the Bling type kind of riders, the Skero of the past type of riders, or is it going to be just touching into the guys like you or Yatesy or those sort of things? So it will be interesting. It'll probably be a bit of a mix of them all, I'd say.
Where's the prologue running? Through the main streets of Adelaide, or?
Yeah, down
the oval.
Oh, that's good.
Down the upside down river, at the upside down river. It's
Why is the river upside down?
It's brown, isn't it?
Oh, the brown snake. It's not the Brizzy. It's not the brown snake, not Murray.
No. What is the river here?
Don't know.
Dog shit.
Yarra. It's down by the Adelaide Oval anyway.
Adelaide, actually, I was just been thinking, Adelaide as far as hostile things, like, there's no crocs in that river. There's no snakes really. And okay, there is snakes, but there's not I feel like it's not a real hostile thing apart from...
Oh, sharks.
In Adelaide.
Mate, there's a young bloke that got swallowed and eaten up by a shark and his keys washed up. I remember watching it must have been on Shark Week or whatever. He was out in his boat, out in the bay there. He just went to do a chook and this shark just got him.
At least
what do you mean do a chook?
At least they're able to move the car, I guess.
Like where you splash in the water.
Well, he jumped into a shark.
He jumped in the water and the shark got him straight away.
Did you call it a chook after you? Is this one of the things that...
No, it's called a horsey or a chook. Some areas call it a horsey.
When people used to make a playlist on Spotify and you go, oh, yeah, that's called bush chooking. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Because it's claimed everything.
Because sorry, is my dad's nickname's Emu, and an emu's a bush chicken, and then that turned to bushy or bush chook, and then just everything's chook or bush chook or whatever. But the horsey is when you hit the water. We used to do them all the time as a kid, and as soon as you hit the water, you flatten out and you get that double splash.
So it's reverse Manu.
Staple.
So everyone and people listening to this go, oh, that's called a slum dick or whatever. Like, who knows?
What?
I don't know. There've been a million different names for it. How did we get onto this? Oh, the bloke who got eaten by a shark. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're talking about Tour Down Under, but it's going to be a good
race.
We're
talking about hostile. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's been quite cool here though. Like me and George were talking last night after the crit about how many merch hats we've seen around as well. So it's nice to see.
One thing I do critique Down Under is like the buffet. The first couple of days you go there, the Hilton buffet. The first couple of days, it's like, oh, how good's this? You got the fresh veggies, you've got like lamb chops, some potato, and all that, and you're like, oh yeah, beautiful. Then the next day you go and hang on. Started to taste a bit similar. By the end of a week,
But But Jonesy, this year what's happened is the women's race is staying in the same hotel. So there's about 500, literally 500 people at that buffet now. And
no.
And they've realised they have to run it pretty simple. So you've lost a bit of the frills around the buffet, and there's a lot of bulk white rice, a lot of pastas, a lot of sort of
I don't mind
vegetable sauces. Oof.
I thought the lasagna wasn't bad last night.
Always lasagna, always bolognese.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a good ham and cheese selection as well. I don't know.
Oh, you good ham and cheese. You good ham and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the last night they throw like a big after party shindig, but that's when the real buffet comes out because you start going, where are these flavours
Where have
been?
these been all week? Yeah.
Like sarde sticks and all this, like your taste buds are going, shit, this is gourmet.
It's always interesting this week, and the Down Under week's always it's probably like an iconic week in Adelaide that divides the Adelaide population. So it's just, you only get two types of people, two types of local. The one that cheers and yell, welcome, claps, wants to take a photo, or the one that's just fucking like hooking you in their Holden Commodore, just riding past going, fuck Australia. Just hooking you off at all, hates you, hates this week, hates everything about it. And it's a clean divide down the middle that half the people here are so excited that Down Under's back and half the people fucking hate it.
Do you know what I found, now that I'm in the car instead of on the bike, the last week been following the riders out training, and I was actually a bit anxious about it initially. I think a little bit because of what you said, George, Australia and New Zealand is, they view cyclists as in a different way than they do in most parts of Europe. But so I was a bit oh, fuck, am I going to end up in these fucking tussles or people giving me shit or whatever? And it's also a shining light of the entitlement as bike riders sometimes, as professionals, when you've got a follow car behind you. It's as a rider, you're fucking sweet, got a car behind you, they'll deal with it, But then when you're the guy driving the car, I'm I'm a bit doing my best to get out of the way of everybody. I'll tell you what, man, we've done 6 days of training here. One day, a dude in a van drove past me and gave me massive sign out the wristy out the window. Other than that, friendly toots, waves, cheers.
Are you sure it wasn't just
everything?
Sure it wasn't a shake and bake? Telegator nights, wishing you the best?
Yeah. Maybe it was that. Because honestly,
I feel you've misinterpreted that.
It's been good experiences here. I think that the general population of Adelaide's excited to have the race back after 3 years.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think actually, you're right. By far and away, the overwhelming consensus is excitement, but the Commodore population is vehemently against it.
Inherently. Did you see the protesters? Were you here when the protesters were out the front of the hotel the other day?
No, what were they protesting?
Santos. So there's this. We got told that there's some protest planned, and to be aware of them and stuff. And then
what is Santos?
Mining,
yeah. So we came out of the hotel and there was the protest group, and it was I'd say when it was at its peak attendance, 14 to 16 people, and I'd say the youngest person was 70, and they all had these signs, and it was actually quite a for lack of a better term, it was quite a cute protest. It was these older ladies, quite nice people, and they had these signs with these big hearts saying, "We love Tour Down Under, we don't like Santos." And they had this chant. It was "Hey ho, Santos has to go," or something like this. Oh, dirty Santos. Hey ho, dirty Santos has to go. And all their signs just said keep the race, get rid of the sponsor or something. It was so they don't look like they're too much to worry about. But they like the race. Even those people, even the protesters like the race.
But we've mentioned this a few times. I don't think in the history of upper corporate management have they ever made a call based on any protesters where they've gone, you know what, we're reviewing the sponsorship, but that protest of those 14 elderly women, it's just not worth it anymore.
No. But it is an interesting one for me though, right? I actually, now I think about that, right? So it's actually a fucking difficult situation because I actually agree with those ladies, but I also know how difficult it is to find sponsorship and how well, what an awesome thing Santos has done for Adelaide for this race. It's been Santos for years. It's such a great contribution, but and ultimately what I fucking think that mine, you know what I mean? I agree with those old ladies. Fuck them. It's like Pat Cummins when he stepped up against the AIS, the Australian cricket head sponsor, and then they ended up ultimately dropping the sponsorship. So you'd want to not be the guy that goes, I picked up against Santos.
Pat Cummins.
Yeah.
Do you want to point out a bigger virtual signaller than Pat Cummins, or you'll just be happy with him?
I'm happy with him. He's my favourite cricketer.
So.
But what I'm getting at is, imagine being the guy that you ruined Tour Down Under because you spoke out for what you believe in. So you know what I mean? You're in it as an athlete, as a participant in the sport. You actually have to be. You're in a precarious position where you go, right. I don't really like I didn't even know they were miners. I thought that was a sanitation company. Yeah. I don't know what I thought they were. Insurance.
I thought it was Wheatbix. Santos, wasn't it called? Isn't it Santos Wheatbix?
Santos Wheatbix.
Santos Sanitation's got a good ring to it, though.
I don't know.
But no, it's good to be back, isn't it? It's a shame you're not here, DJ. But you'll be in Cadell Evans' race.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'll be there for a day. I also feel for Stewie because he took the reins from Mike Turner as race director, and then as soon as he got it, bang, COVID hits. So he couldn't really do anything on the scale. It was always like the festival of cycling or whatever, whereas this is his first year to properly take the reins and make a course that, it's already different. So I reckon it's great.
Yeah, he's already added his flavour to it, I think.
Yeah,
he's
100%.
Yeah. And he's a great race director. I've seen him quite a few times here, and he's calm, he's willing to answer questions, he's willing to give you time. And he's just a liked and respected guy. So he's actually he's a good addition to the team.
It's funny because it's one of those things that's he's got good social currency because he was a good bike rider as well. That helps. If it was just some bloke, you'd be like, oh, righto, mate. But it's because it's a guy that's won Roubaix. You're like, you know what I mean? Therefore, he's a better person. Yeah. Well, in the eyes of, you know what I mean? His social currency is higher because he won Roubaix, regardless of how good he is or bad at his job. He won Roubaix to fuck up. You know what I mean? Well, he won Roubaix.
But the previous guy, Mike Turner, we were talking earlier about. He won Olympic gold '84 on the.
Great director.
But we were saying how being in prison, you got to smack the guy in the first 2 hours. He had that down pat. People were shit scared of that guy.
I was scared.
Mate, I remember one day at the buffet, people had a gutful, so someone brought in their own grill, started making eggs and bacon at the buffet table, plugged into a power board. Fucking Turner hears egg and bacon crackling and gets a whiff. He comes steaming in and just ripped this bloke a new one from, I think it was filling in for Lotto or EF or something. And I just remember he gave him this all-time bait, fucking get that out of here. What the fuck's your name, mate? And the guy's shitting himself. Oh, mate, gave an absolute baking. And I was just now this is a guy that, he's clearly the boss.
Yeah. He's
clearly the boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win it? There's a lot of favourites, though.
Bennett is uninterrupted pre-season. I think it's the first time in a long time where he could fully get the Ks in. He seems like he's in a better headspace. He's prepared to race until he's 40. So I think this is coming at a really good period of his career, sort of in the middle.
That we learned in the first 2 takes of this before we realised that my internet had not been recording anything we'd said. So, it's a good assessment.
Why not?
I think.
Mate, I'm honestly in a daze. I know that at some point we spoke about the fact that there's going to be the punchy riders mixed in with the pure climbers. It's going to be sort of hanging in the balance for both of those people. But for the life of me, I can't remember if it was on this episode, the one before that, or the one before that. So I don't know what's happening.
Well, what do you think, Bennett? You gonna have a dip or what?
Oh, I'm gonna give it what I can. Obviously, I'm gonna try quite hard, but it is like what you said. It is it doesn't matter how fit you are or how good. I actually genuinely believe I'm in really good shape right now. In terms of fitness, like how good I'd be at the end of a long, hard race. But like, I don't feel like that's worth a pinch of shit sometimes in Tour Down Under, because it's a 100K stage. You kind of ride easy to the bottom, and then you just got to go absolutely ape shit for 5 minutes. And I feel like that. Okay, of course, fitness is an element of that, but a lot of it was more just about like you get guys like ex-track riders, like I think like, you know, Ethan Hayter, G, even like Paddy Bevan or Cor, you know what I mean? Like guys are just absolute monstrous 5 minutes. That's the kind of people that win this race. And a lot of the time, your 5 minute power, it's not that relevant to fitness if it hasn't been a really hard stage. But if it is full gas, like we're saying about the course, if the last stage is hard from the gun, those guys, there is a chance they could be in trouble. And fitness could come into it. But I don't know. So I don't know. I'm just sort of answering your question with a question, really.
What do you reckon, Jules? Darryl Impey's last race. He's going to be moving back to Australia. He's already won it twice. He clearly rates himself.
I'll tell you what, the good thing about having Daz here is whether or not he wins the race or not, or gets whatever result he gets, he's the Prince of Adelaide, so he opens certain doors for you. And because of that, we've got the penthouse suite. Maybe that's not why.
I went to your hotel room the other day, and you are in a dustiest possible room. You're in the like, if we were to scan the rooms right now, which I don't really want to do, your room is dusty, old, like has not been refurbished.
We've got a couple of we've got a few great rider. We have to thank everybody since we started the show 2023. Thank you everybody who's bought merch so far. We've actually sold out of pretty much all of our t-shirts, but we have sold out of all the shit rider great bloke t-shirts, but we do have a handful of great bloke shit rider. Fuck, this is confusing, eh? We've got great rider shit bloke t-shirts here. We've got a handful of them that we're going to give away to a couple of riders. And also, we still owe G one from the Tour de France, so I'll try and get one on his shoulders. Yeah. And we're going to give a handful away to some listeners, some of you guys. We've also got a few merch hats. We've also got a few Social Distance podcast hats. What are you doing, George?
Nothing. Keep going.
So he's like eating. He just got the camera right near his face. Classic. So how are you going to give them away? What are they got to do to get one?
We've got a few, like 3 or 4 of each. Merch hats, Social Distance podcast hats, and great ridership like t-shirts. So we're going to give them away. We just come up to me or George at the start. Basically, what I want to see, George won't agree with this, is to basically give George the most inconvenient present you can think of. Like if you think back to 2022, the ongoing saga of the French man with the poster who was trying to give that life-size poster to George, that's what I'm thinking. Something along those lines. Palm something like that off to George, and you'll get a hat or a t-shirt, or maybe even both. It's good.
And probably a hostile response from me. So
yeah, and we'll give them away. I won't bring them to the stages just because it's a bit of a hassle for me, and we want to make George's life a hassle. But whoever the winner is, George will get a photo of you or your details, share it on Instagram, and we'll organise for you to come and meet George and I at the hotel after the race on Sunday night. Have a cold one. And give you
I really know none of this is
sneak into the buffet, the good buffet.
I'm just writing checks here. We'll see if we cash them. But we'll organise for you to pick them up from the Hilton. We'll give them to you. We'll deliver them to you. But that's what we want. Just deliver George a life-size poster. That's all I want.
Don't do that. I'll make sure you don't receive anything free from this show again. All right, I'm at the massage.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. It's good to be back. We will find our groove again, I'm sure. It's been a 6-week break. We've got the summer break fatigue. We'll be back. It's like when you first open your laptop after 6 weeks off. Like, share, subscribe.